What's up, guys? Koma here. Today we are going to be talking about Prime Warframes. So, Prime Warframes are kind of a weird thing when most people look at them. Number one, they're mostly ooh shiny kind of new player reactions, and realistically, that's kind of what Prime Warframes are. But there's a few things, a few tiny things that set them apart from their normal counterparts, and that is primarily the stats. So if I were to go over here and I type in Protea, you can notice that my Protea Prime has 270 health, 455 shields, 185 armor, and 200 energy. But if I click on Protea here, you can notice my armor and energy go down. So some Prime frames have that little tiny boost in only a few stats, or like one stat depending on which Prime frame they are. And basically, the only real big benefit to having a Prime frame is actually their polarization slots. Now, I already have two Forma and two Protea, meaning that I believe it's these two or maybe these two polarization slots are my different, what I added. But nonetheless, uh, Prime frames will always have one of those, like always have more polarization slots than the normal variant. And Prime frames should always be prioritized over the normal variant, because when it comes down to obtaining some of the Prime frames, they can be easier than obtaining the original variants. This is kind of a bigger thing about Protea as a whole, as her Prime is much easier to obtain than going out and getting her normal variant, which basically is the equivalent of going to somewhere like oh, I forget which area it is for the Corpus, but basically you go to one of these Corpus areas and you turn in a token and you do this little like mini game sorts, and then you hope and pray that you get Protea's parts. And if you're disappointed and you don't get it, yeah, that's kind of the experience of Protea. I still got to farm for her legitimately for mastery and to subsume her, so it's something I got to do at a later date. Hey, future Coma here for a clarification. As I mentioned about the Prime Warframes having benefits, Prime Weapons also have benefits, primarily in their stats as well. For example, I have here my Orthos, and if we were going to search up Orthos, we can see the normal variant. And you can see over here the stats is like a 6% crit, a 1.5 times critical damage multiplier, and then a 18% critical status. Or sorry, status. But compared to the normal variant, which is 20, or the prime variant, which is 24%, a 2 times 2 crit multiplier, and then a 36 status multiplier. And sometimes the stats are just outrageous when it comes down to the prime weapons, so they're probably a huge benefit just alone compared to their frame and their polarization slots. Anyway, back to actual prime frames. How do you obtain them? And realistically, what's the easiest path? So most prime frames come from void relics. If we go over here into void relics, you can see that I have a bunch of relics, just huge amounts of relics here. Um, Besides the Requiem ones are used for your Kuva liches, so there's really no reason to pay attention to them here right now. But the ones we are paying attention are Lith, Meso, Axie, and the Neo relics. These relics all consist of prime parts. So as you can see, this has Hildren Prime, this one has Zaku Prime, and this one has Atlas Prime, including some of the weapons that potentially come with some of these prime frames. So in this one, you also get Sevagoth's Epitaph Prime Blueprint. You also get Gauss's Accelerator Prime Stock, as well as the Laxper Prime that comes with Hildren. So each one of these pieces can be opened and upgraded, or each one of these relics can be opened and upgraded. And as you can see, as you upgrade the relic with your void traces, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Your rates go up in terms of the uncommon and rare, but your common chances actually go down, which is the cool benefit here. So if there's something you're looking for, you can come over here and type in. So say if you're looking for Zaku Prime, you can type in Zaku Prime here, and you can see all your Zaku Prime relics. So for example, I have relics for each and every single one of his pieces, so I can go out and I can hunt and craft each one of these parts to eventually craft Zaku. As you can see, now I'm only missing Zaku's Prime Neural Optics, but you can kind of see here that I already have Zaku Prime crafted, which is another thing that is really nice about these relics is that you can crack them open, and if you already have a Prime and you have a team that is basically, has a massive list of prime parts that you get to choose from. If you don't get what you want out of your relic, you can take what's something out of someone else's relic. This is because that if you have this, say if you have Zaku Prime already, like I do. If I do have the full set of Zaku Prime's neural optics, chassis, blueprint, and systems, that means I can bundle it all together and sell it for a decent amount of platinum. That's nice because that's practically money in your pocket in game. So, how do you upgrade relics and how do you get the void traces? Well, if you come over here to void fissures, you'll notice that you have all the different tiers of relics as I was mentioning before. So we have Lith, Meso, Neo, and Axie. If you click on a Lith fissure, you're only going to be able to use Lith relics. If you click on a Meso relic, you're only going to be able to use Meso relics. As you can see, pretty self-explanatory. Now, there is one singular fissure that you can use any relic in, and that is the Omnia fissure. So this can bounce between multiple different places, mainly the Lewis survival, the alchemy or survival on Deimos with the Murmur, or the Void missions from Zeraman. So that include the Void Flood, Void Cascade, and the Void Armageddon, I believe. And each one of those has a random chance to become an Omnia fissure, of which you can go in with any relic and crack it open as you please. So these are endless missions, so you can stay there for as long as you want. But when you open a relic, you have a chance to obtain the void traces. So once you open a relic and you collect enough reactant, you can extract and you'll obtain your void traces. Void traces are not added to your account until after the mission ends. So if you go in and you use 100 traces, you cannot use another 100 traces within the mission unless you have 200 traces before uh, going in and upgrading your relic. So basically, all you do here is you come here and you can see that I already have this relic upgraded. So it's going to take me 75 traces to actually upgrade this further. So if I wanted to completely max this out, I would click the 75 and it would boost the rates all the way up. And that's how you get void traces. Additionally, in some cases, that if you have a resource boosters can also multiply your void traces, as well as having a Smedica Vat with the add-on of the Charm upgrade has a random chance to bless the owner with good fortune, which actually has a chance to give you a resource multiplier as well as Loyal Retriever having a 13% chance to do the exact same thing just by default. So do keep that in mind. That is Smedic event. It's kind of important in some cases, so I would highly recommend going out and getting yourself a cat so you can bring it along with you. And hopefully it doesn't look like a nightmare in some cases. Whoa, game, chill out. So going on to just some exceptions here. Most frames are going, or most more recent frames are going to be accessible through relics. So, for example, I just talked about Zaku, Gauss, and Hildren. And yes, they are still accessible through their current relics, of which can be earned from multiple places within in-game. However, for frames that have come and gone since the age-old days of the Prime Vaults, This
The
is what
Prime
Prime
Vanguard,
Resurgence
the pride of Empire,
is for.
and the end of it.
Really wish
Hell of a thing.
she would stop talking. Okay, so Prime Resurgence is a rotating, as you can see down here. It says the next offerings will rotate in 4 days and 18 hours. But for current Prime Resurgence, these are the Prime frames that have returned for this Resurgence. So we have Atlas, Valbin, Equinox, Wukong, Mesa, Hydroid, Titania, and Gara Prime. Each one of them came through with their premium packs. So if you want their cosmetics and you're wanting their weapons, and all of them come with Auric and Catalysts and their slots that you don't have to worry about buying more slots. You can straight up buy these bundles with Regal Aya, as you can see here. The prices are a little bit weird, but just keep in mind that, once you buy Regal Aya, you also get Platinum along with it. So that's also another little addition that you could do there. But if you scroll down, you can notice that there's actually relics here. So if I'm wanting one of these frames, so say like Mesa Prime, I already have Mesa, but for an example, you can see that here I actually have each one of the relics that has Mesa. Not only Mesa, but also her Redeemer Prime here. That is her signature weapon. And I think the Ad- Ajikagara, which is her signature dual pistols as well. So you can pick up her relics here for Aya. Um, Now, Aya specifically
The
is
circling
obtained
hawk may
from
choose its
multiple different
prey at
sources,
leisure.
which I actually have a little Wikipedia page I can pull here. So this is the Wikipedia page that you can actually look at for Aya. So you can see here in the drop locations, usage, trivia, and patch history. So if you scroll down to usage, you can see each and every relic that you can actually currently use this on. So this is actually the new official Warframe Wikipedia. So this will actually be updated um, when the next rotation comes up here. But if we go to drop locations, you can see Aya can be acquired from bounties and missions in the void. So you can click this, I believe, and this will show you each and every drop source of Aya. So basically, the idea here is that you're really wanting to look at the higher numbers of drop rates here. So you can see that Steel Path Cetus bounties, level 100 through 100 final stage, has a 38.78% chance to actually drop an Aya. Now you don't need to go into the level 100, as you can even go do the level 60 to 40 through 60. You can see that rotation B has a 25% chance. Rotation C has a 25. Rotation A as well. And depending on the rotation and the stages, you can see that you can even get a 33.04% chance of actually getting Aya. But there's also stuff like tier 3 void defense and tier 1 void defense, and as well as the Fortuna bounties. So each one of the bounties from Fortuna, from even Hollowvania, have a chance of dropping Aya. But if you're really wanting to farm it out, go to Cetus, go to Fortuna, do their level 40 to 60 or their Steel Path bounty, and you can farm out Aya completely for free, easy, and in most cases, the fastest way that you could possibly do it. As you can even see that even the Necrolisk has like a 43.48% chance, and it's like super common as well there too. So, realistically, pick whatever you feel comfortable with doing. Bring your best frame. I would recommend if you're on Cetus, bring a vault so you can get around quickly. So yeah, there is that. So once you get your Aya, you can come back to the market and you can go into the Prime Resurgence and you can pick up your
If you're here for
relics that you
relics,
need
damn,
and
sure I
then
can't tempt you?
upgrade them and then bring them into a fissure. Now, I do want to talk about mild spoilers is there is one frame that you will get access to completely for free that is considered a Prime Warframe. Now, I won't tell you the name of this frame, but just know that it comes from the quest Sacrifice, of which you actually get to learn about a very special Warframe. I'm not going to tell you what that is. I'm not going to tell you the name of that frame, but I would highly recommend getting to that quest and just do it. It's a very good quest. It's kind of sad, and you actually just get that frame completely for free. So I think that wraps up the Prime Warframe guide, besides all the different resources you're going to need depending on your Prime Warframe, such as Niatan, which can actually just be obtained through Nightwave, of which the Nightwave will be rotating out pretty soon. So if you don't already have any Niatan, you plan to craft some Prime frames, pick up some Niatan. I would at least grab 10 or something, depending on your Prime frame. And you should be set, besides some maybe needing some Argon, which you can't really hold anyway. So I would recommend just keeping an eye out for that going forward. So I think overall, prime frames are the kind of go-to frame that you should look at before considering even playing a frame. So if you want to play Protea, look at Protea Prime before you start looking at normal Protea, because you don't have to go through the hassle of getting normal Protea. So I hope this guide in some way was helpful for newer players into understanding how relics work, and how prime frames work, and the whole 9 yards. So if you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and if you found this helpful, you can leave a like. And if you want to stick around for more Warframe content of some kind that I will eventually plan to do, you can subscribe and ring the bell to be notified. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.